Hi there, gallery members and new viewers alike. Thanks for tuning in for this latest edition of Gridiron Gallery. If you haven't seen my channel before up until this point with new videos, recommend you like this one and subscribe for more. We got plenty of content on all your favorite football leagues. And for those gallery members out there, thank you as always for tuning in. Really can't appreciate you enough. Now, on to the show. Welcome in one and all to an all-new edition of the Zach, Tony, and Grimbo Show, part of the Gridiron Gallery podcast, the show talking all things NFL coverage, your bi-weekly NFL talk from Tony Stenulson, Michael Grimberg, and myself, Zach Keilman, along with special guests from the Belly Up Sports Network or Unhinged Radio. This week, we are happily joined by Coach Steve of the Coach Steve Show, resident Bears fan and Illini fan himself. So we get to chat on that angle. At some point, we're delaying that. We pushed it off. It's later in the show. There's only so much that we can say before it gets too drowning. Coach, how you doing, man? How's the show? What's the latest comings and goings for you in the Coach Steve Show?
Oh, there's a ton. I coach high school football, so that takes most of my life. That's 18 hours right there.
Right, that's true. It's true.
Me and my two friends do a live show every Sunday, and it was just about Illini sports, and we were excited the first week. Now we're calling it Illini sadness every Sunday. That's kind of what we've changed it to. Or complaining about the Bears, one of the two. And I still talk to coaches all over the country. I've got all that being released. I have enough till November, I think, to get me through. And that's about it until high school football is over. But then I coach high school basketball, so I just don't have a life.
See, that's what we're meaning. Like, it's not just you're going by Coach Steve in the show. You are an actual coach. So, living the name. This ain't some phony baloney business here or anything. We ain't just throwing coach on a name. This is legit.
They pay me to have that title. Pennies on the dollar. They pay me to have that.
Fantastic. Loving it, man. I'm loving it. I'm glad to have you in. Let's dive into some conversation, boys. Let's get things started. I obviously have expressed myself with Coach here on, how the Bears are. Tony, you out of all of us, it's not really misery right now. It's looking pretty promising.
Yeah, we're a Chris Godwin push off from being 3-0. It's fantastic, and we have a defense this year. This can't be real life. I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming that the Cowboys actually have a secondary, and that Dan Quinn's actually coaching them well.
Them boys came into play. They're coming to play. It's looking good. Making Justin Herbert look like a fool.
Really, I was ecstatic about that game. I was really, really nervous going into it.
Make a break. And then, of course, Philadelphia, asserting dominance on the NFC East. At least it looks that way.
Yeah, Philadelphia they are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
Jalen had a great first week, and then the next 2 weeks he looks like crap. So it's fine.
Young, figuring things out, rookie head coach. The usual bumps and bruises. Michael's got a rookie head coach too, and I don't know if that's more bumps and bruises. And Matt Ryan, that's just been beaten up to where it's his age catching up to him. From your opinion, like how are you feeling right now? Like it's kind of weird. You got like a legend behind center that it just seems like endless weeks is trying to fight off defenders with very limited mobility that he already had. And hey, you're 1-2. Got to win over the Giants. That's cool, right?
A win's a win. As ugly as it was, we should have probably blew them out of the water. But that first week was definitely a fluke on the old Jalen Hurts train there. I mean, our defense is stepping up a little bit the weeks go by, which I'm happy about because I usually don't say that. But the offense is definitely regressing, and it is really starting in the trenches. And, Matt Ryan has about 2 seconds to throw the football before he either gets knocked down or sacked, usually sacked. But other than that, glad we're not 0-3. It's always a good step in the right direction, and we'll see in the coming weeks what we're going to be about. But I like the direction of what Arthur Smith is kind of implementing in our franchise right now, even though it's the early stages of it, but we'll see what happens.
Well, that's good. Any positives to get away from week one's meme look of Matt Ryan lying on the turf in Atlanta? That's all you need, is just start getting steps away from that. A win's a win. It helps with that too.
Oh yes,
it's good stuff. So here's the deal. We know actually between our three fandoms in here, we know who's real and who's not. Like, if we're being honest, unless Coach here's got something else he wants to say, Chicago's not real. Like, we're not going to joke about. We're not going to try and dance around that. Dallas, I say they are a real deal, and Michael. I just think Atlanta's not going to go anywhere. It's a rebuild. This is where we get the beginnings of the season where we ask, who's real, who's fake. We always have those 0-3, maybe even 2-1s. We're really going to stick with the 0-3 or the 3-0s here that kind of say, well, was it a light schedule? Maybe they got lucky. And so we're going to take a look at this, and we'll do 3 highlighted teams, and we'll kick things off first with a team that has connections back to me and Steve here. The Denver Broncos. Vic Fangio has been getting questions over his first few years, and he left. Our messiah of the defense is gone. Sean Desai's looked promising, but still he's gone. He's my boys in Denver. And you know what? They're not looking too bad. Teddy Bridgewater is playing some of his best football right now. However, as with any football fandom, the opponents they played are 0-9. They aren't legit in terms of opponents, but the question remains, are the Broncos legit? Does it matter that they played in combined 0-9 field of 3 teams? I leave this to the floor because, as I say right now, I think there might be a smidge of legitimacy to sneak in a 7th seed playoff bid. That's my take on this.
With their record, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think it's, they have, being 3-0, they have a very high probability of making it to the playoffs already, according to the way too early playoff seedings. I would honestly say that, I don't think they are. I think it's really become apparent when they face off the rest of the AFC West that it's going to be shown just how fake that the Broncos truly are.
It's kind of, yeah. In week one, they took on the Giants, and we were kind of some questions about the Giants, and the Giants showed their true colors, and they had a slow start against New York too. I don't know. And then the Jets are the Jets. Okay. It hasn't been pretty at times. It's been efficient. It's what Bridgewater does. It's efficiency,
Right.
I don't know.
They actually, I was looking at the strength schedules, and they actually have the easiest out of the 3 that we're talking about, which is kind of crazy considering the competition in the West. But they have pretty tough competition coming up soon. They play the Ravens, they play the Raiders, who we're going to be talking about as well, and they play the Broncos. Those are 3. I don't know. In my opinion, they might get 1 win out of that, but I don't. It's not looking pretty right now. So I think it's a little too early to tell with the Broncos. We'll see. I don't think they're real at all. Honestly, I think they're fake.
Maybe. This is why it's surprising. 2 of the teams you just mentioned with the Raiders, they're the 2 teams at the top of the AFC West right now. So let's talk about, talking just about that little shtick in itself is kind of nuts. No one I don't think many people saw that coming is what, maybe the Chargers up there, the Chiefs mostly. No one saw them 1 and 2 already, but here we are. This is where we're sitting at, Steve, what do you see in the Broncos? That's the thing. Like, there's the 0-9 record that sticks out right away. That's like the big sore thumb everyone's pointing at right now. But easy schedule, it seems like an efficient offense. So,
well, that's all it takes is some confidence. So they could have 0-9, but if they have some confidence, they're going to squeak one out. Now the defense might be real because of who's coaching it, and they've said that from the get-go. But it depends on Teddy Bridgewater. That quarterback battle. How's he going to play? But if they get confidence, it really doesn't matter if they squeak it out by 3 points against the Ravens or something. Are they real or are they still fake? Like you said, it hurts. I wish he was our head coach at the Bears, but that's here or there. It's too late for that.
Fair enough.
But I think the defense can be real. I think they're going to look at the Bears. I think that's what they're going to look like, is a good defense and an offense, and see what happens.
Especially with how many are dropping due to injury.
Right.
Yeah. Tim Patrick dropping didn't help, I would imagine. Although, I mean, Cortland Sutton, he can pull those numbers. It's just that, can you lean on him every week to pull like a 130 plus yardage, 7 catch game like he did week 2? Not always. Last week wasn't the case, but you hope that like a Noah Fant steps up. You hope that Jerry Jeudy rushes back as soon as you can in that IR deadline, and that keeps up the pace. I do like the comparison, Steve, on the Bears. I think with the easy schedule, you could argue like a 2018 format where it's like, if it just is efficient enough, it takes care of the opportunities and capitalizes when needed, because to me, I think the Broncos, like when us three, Tony and Michael and I were talking about like Aaron Rodgers trying to defect, we were talking, I was like, Denver would be perfect. Just jump to base to Denver. All the pieces are in Denver. Bridgewater doesn't make me scream that they're a powerhouse, but if you throw Rodgers in there, I'm freaking the hell out if I'm in the AFC. So, to me, it's just like you're saying, maybe a quarterback away, just play efficiently, and maybe you can get something out of this.
That's all you need, is if you can actually coach him, unlike Mitch Trubisky, which we'll get to later probably. But if you can coach him good enough, he'll get you what you need. And if it's 17-14 win, they're going to take it, but again, if they come out and lose by 30 points the next 2 games, then they're fake. They're not. Then it's like, what else are you missing? But Teddy Bridgewater played well last year, or at the Saints, and he played a little, like, people forget how good he can be. So we'll see how he plays.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that's good. Weapons help capitalize help maximize a quarterback's ability too. So, having Sutton and once you get Jerry Jeudy healthy, Noah Fant, who it's almost like his name hasn't risen up as much in the highlight reels, but still is very capable as one of the top tier tight end, and then you have a defense, maybe sans of course Bradley Chubb going down with injury, it's still pretty stout. So that there. So we saying fake or we saying make?
I'm saying fake.
Fake.
I'm gonna go fake. I think I'll go fake.
I'll go fake, but I want it on the record. I had to think about it.
I credit. I started this saying that maybe they sneak into this to 7, but in terms of the week schedule, that's where I'm going with fake. Yeah, you can be fake and go into the 7th seed. Steve and I know you can definitely do that now. After last year, anything's possible when you give someone a free ticket. So who knows? Denver could sneak in. They have that access if they want. Meanwhile, we'll wait until we talk about the other AFC West opponent in this list. Carolina. So big deal. Carolina is Sam Darnold legit, which I guess this is kind of like a double make or fake, if you will. We can talk about is Sam Darnold legit along with then the Panthers, because Carolina so far, young, ambitious defense has been stepping up. It's been preying on offenses that it's had to face. And Sam Darnold, I would say, has been not just efficient, but very much effective. Sure, the touchdown numbers aren't there, but can he move the ball? Has he been throwing 300 yards a game? Has he made that offense look a little more confident than a Teddy Bridgewater last year? I would say yes. I would say that has been the case.
Well, last year too, CMC was out the whole year, and then for the first 2 out of 3 games, maybe 1 or 2 games, you had Christian McCaffrey back. So not having him is a huge hit to that Carolina Panthers offense. Yeah, they still beat the Texans, but come on, it's the Texans. I think personally, I don't. If Christian McCaffrey is able to come back fully healthy, I think that they are real. Their defense has stepped up like immensely in the past year. But if Christian McCaffrey is, they got the Cowboys up next on Sunday, so that's a huge hit. Having Christian McCaffrey would help Carolina's chances to beat the Cowboys. They have the Eagles, so they should win that regardless. So if he can get back in plenty of time, he can get back for, part of their schedule that includes, the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Bills, the Bucks. If he's back by those, I think they have a legitimate chance because I think they'll give those teams a run. But if he's not back in time or he's got lingering issues, I don't think they make it.
I like the way that I see this playing out in terms of if they can manage without him is if you have Chuba Hubbard play the same way he did against the Texans and filling in duty, former CFL running back coming in and spotting and looking solid in terms of his step in performance. And if that connection with DJ Moore continues to be the way it's been, because that's also been something that they have, given with, Christian McCaffrey when he's been healthy for at least the first 2 weeks and some change in the third game last week here. DJ Moore has been the main connection, not Robbie Anderson, surprisingly, considering that they were playing in New York together. That's kind of surprising that he hasn't leaned on Robbie. DJ has stepped up and is starting to look, well, like one of the elite guys. It's not just is he in that good but not great range. He's looking elite right now in terms of just, getting separation, being the main target, helping generate offense. I like it. That's going to be what hinges on there. Michael, Steve, what do you see in Carolina? I know that the tough schedule, Tony's right. That's going to be a big factor is how do they mitigate against, you have the Bucks to play 2 times a year. And then you're mentioning you got the Bills on that roster. The Patriots aren't going to slouch over, crying out loud, Belichick probably knows Darnold just as good as any other QB just for how much Steve had to play in the last few years. So, talk about making him uncomfortable. You have opportunities that they could slide.
Yeah, I don't know. This Panthers team seems like there's too many things that are going to hurt them more than help them. They have injuries, like Tony mentioned with Christian McCaffrey, but they also lost their first round draft pick with a broken foot and JC Horn, and he was also doing so well for them, which is you hate to see it, but that's part of the game. But I feel like there's there's just too many things that are in question for me to think that they are going to be, if they're going to get a wild card spot, because there's no way they're going to win the division. But I don't know. I do like the way the way that Sam Darnold's progressing. That's probably my shocker of the first few weeks, honestly, because people were bashing him because he was in such a terrible system in New York, and now he comes over to Carolina and he's like a brand new guy, which I love. I love when guys go and prove that.
It's a beautiful thing seeing everyone riff on Adam Gase the way that we have over this past week. It's been gorgeous.
Oh yes,
the internet's having a field day, and I'm like a McDonald's ad. I'm loving it.
Agreed on that. Yeah,
it's been great. His development's been nice, and it's been funny. Like Rich Eisen on his own show, like the Jets fan himself, just talking like almost like sounds like he's trying to be like mitigating buyer's remorse almost, because it's basically a straight up blame Adam Gase thing, which I get, but it makes you wonder what could have been, I guess.
Yeah.
Just
kind of love it. Said it. And they definitely set it free.
We still love you, man. Just, when you're around playing us, like, just leave us alone. Okay. Like, can we get a W?
Right. Yeah.
Steve, I'm curious with this one point, because, Michael brought up JC Horn being out. They did trade for CJ Henderson from the Jaguars. So that was the quick swap. However, again, tough schedule. And I know that, any given Sunday is a thing, but is this young team built for not just any given Sunday, but like but pretty much evolved to, we can win any given Sunday without like, dumb luck or just, a young scrappy team.
You can win with Matt Rule as your head coach because what he did at Baylor, and now he's here. And then Joe Brady is the offensive coordinator. So when Sam Darnold come over to a competent coach who can actually coach some offense, when he was with the Saints, and we saw what he did at LSU with Joe Burrow. Now look how well he plays. So sometimes it is the coach. And he puts into that system. He's learned a lot from Sean Payton, who can coach anybody and do whatever offense. So I think without McCaffrey's going to hurt a lot, but I think smart enough to move people around. He's going to do what his players can do into his offense. Matt Rule is going to get that culture built in. So I think they're going to be scrappy no matter what with him at the realm. Joe Brady's a brilliant mastermind with offense. I think people forget that. Like he silently went there as an OC. It wasn't like this huge news. It was kind of silently went there. And he's going to have that Sean Payton offense. And they're going to get different people the ball. So I think they'll be fine. But it's going to be closer games than what we've seen. Like they beat the Texans. Whoop-de-doo, Lovie Smith is their defensive coordinator. It wasn't going to happen. So, I mean, I think they'll be fine.
The beard on that man is impeccable, by the way.
Oh, he shaved it during his Illinois days.
Just find the zone. Just find the zones in Tampa too.
I've seen enough of those holes get beaten at Illinois. It's gonna happen.
Oh yes. You are not wrong, my friend. You are not wrong. But good point. I mean, Joe Brady, he was a head coaching candidate this past offseason. So, getting it almost like you get a little more of that mentality. You get a quality coach on the sideline too. We just joked about Adam Gase, for crying out loud. That's stability. It's nice stability. It's refreshing stability. Years of just lackluster organizational frustration and, just mono as well for part of a season. We can go back to that whole debacle.
Almost forgot about that.
Seeing ghosts, getting the past, it's wiped away in just three games. But does that mean that they've made it? So here we go again, Panthers folks. Fake it or make it?
I'm
saying
make it.
I put a push for them, but I'm leaning more towards fake.
Just because he's a Falcons fan. That's why he's doing this.
No, I think they're going to. But I'm thinking more towards like, are they going to get a wild card spot in that aspect? But I think short term, they're real. Long term, they're fake. That's where I'm going.
I think for this Sunday, they're fake because it's going to be exposed. But I'll go to them. There are a lot of things, like Michael said, that could be in question. Those questionable things can go either way. So I'm going to roll the dice on it. I'm going to say that they're going to make it. They're real.
Okay.
All righty.
Bit of a flip there. I was thinking we're doing split down the middle the way Tony started off with that. So,
no, they're just going to lose on Sunday. It's
just
fine.
this Sunday.
Just this Sunday.
They
put the Eagles the week after. Come on.
You got to have a little bit of doubt to then get people backing off the hype train, and then they'll get back on the hype train in a little bit after they rebuild some confidence in media pundits across the country. So that's what's had happen sometimes. I'll tell you who I think is really on the media hype train is our final participant in this little debate. The Raiders are currently sitting with the Broncos up top of the AFC West. John Gruden, Chucky. Oh man, we were all talking about at the beginning of the year that defense. Why does it keep being this lackluster, middle of the road unit? Offensively, it's been since he's joined. Is Derek Carr here? Are we committed to Derek Carr? Are we going to trade Derek Carr? Or some rumors of him going to Chicago. I'm not joking. That always seems to come up too. Last few years, was Derek Carr coming to Chicago? Are we going to reunite with Khalil Mack? But no, they committed. And you know what? They've not only looked exciting, but they've looked downright deadly. Derek Carr is currently putting up right now an MVP candidacy through the first three contests of this league season. Some have said Matthew Stafford. I'm saying Carr right now is my MVP frontrunner in terms of just performances and sheer will that this man has put in place. Make it or fake it, folks. It might be credit. They play in a tough division, but I don't know. They dispelled the Chiefs already last year. They split that series and could have swept them. who's to say they can't at least run roughshod, at least for the most part, over the rest of the AFC West and the rest of their schedule, which really isn't that bad of a schedule either. I mean, they got a reasonable schedule the rest of the year, and they're already off to a hot start.
Yeah, Derek Carr is doing great this year for sure. I think the biggest problem is that defense has given up so many points. Out of besides Kansas City being the number one, points against in that division, number two is the Raiders with 72. I think Derek Carr's had to be that MVP candidate and throw that bunch because his defense is porous. It's not what it fully used to be when you think of the Raiders defense. It's tough. I love Derek Carr. Love that he always looks like he's ready to go to a punk rock show. But
I wonder if he wears eyelash makeup. He looks like he does sometimes.
Sometimes, it looks like he's got some under eye. Yeah, it's right there. So this is a tough one for me.
On the fence. I'm looking forward to how you look at it because I'm a little more optimistic on them. Steve, the Raiders, man, I'm telling you, at least in terms of broadcast so far this year, they've been fun. Two of their three games have come down to the wire, and man, their Monday Night Football game opening week, talk about just the perfect way to start the season. That whole ending was fantastic. Storybook. Well, not even storybook, just really, you couldn't have written it better for how topsy-turvy the OT period was in week one against the Ravens.
I'm on the same boat with the defense. That's what scares me. If you have to put that offense in a situation to win the entire year, is it going to sustain? Now, they've been able to do it. They just saw with the Dolphins. But I think the Raiders are kind of at a they don't care anymore type of thing. Like, we're just going to play. Like, maybe Derek Carr is going to punk rock band stuff throughout the week. They just don't care anymore. And they're coming out and playing. But, like, I've been a Derek Carr fan. Now, he's just been kind of, but, like, he's tough. He's gritty. He seems like I thought he could have gone to the Bears or Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that would have been a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
But their defense does scare me if they don't. Once they start playing in the dog days of the season, are they going to be able to sustain it? Is Derek Carr going to sustain the offense? But yeah, right now I think everybody's almost a Raider fan. Like, finally, they're kind of like, decent right now, and we'll just see if they can maintain it. Great. If they play in these close games though all year, I don't know if they can sustain these close games week in and week out the entire year with a 17-game schedule this year. I don't know if they can do it.
Yeah. Michael, you see that the case though? I mean, I get the points, because it's hard to be. I mean, Jesus, you want to talk about like glass cannon mentality? Like, Tennessee embodies that to the fullest extent of the nature of what a glass cannon is. So, the Raiders, I think they do flirt with it. I mean, is that sustainable with their schedule though?
You know what? They're exciting. They're honestly exciting. You don't really say that about Raiders football all that often, especially these past few decades. But, I don't know. They didn't look so hot during the Dolphins game, but you got to give them credit where it's due. They played their tails off. They did what you needed to do to win. And that's all you could really ask for. I mean, Spider 2Y Banana is paying off. So, gotta give old Chucky some credit there, especially, they beat the Steelers who beat the Bills. Like, that's like just weird in its own, but like, they're beating good competition too. You can't discredit them there either. And, they have some more competition next week against the Chargers. So we'll see how the division kind of shapes up with that too. So we'll see.
Powered by proxy, eh?
They won the following week after the Chargers. Don't you worry.
Don't
you worry about that.
Yeah, I'm not. I ain't doubting that they'll get the 4-1, maybe 5-0. 3-2? No, sir. That's just not happening. I don't care who's behind center, even if the coach is hiding it from the public, as well as who's calling plays. Dear God, I'm trying to hold back.
So we go in on the Bears and like we do in our group chat, man. That's just
I I saw the name, so I said I have to say something.
Trying to hold back. But it keeps me coming in for the jokes.
I thought I was out.
It's too easy. It's too easy.
Just when you think you're out, you get pulled right back in.
You're absolutely right. As I sit in my bar in Indianapolis, drinking endless old styles to keep the pain down.
Forgot you were 40, Zach. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I embody a 40-year-old.
I'll have it there.
It's old style on draft too, right?
Yes, it's on draft. It's not
That's the only way.
It's not bottles and cans. It's in the pint glass with the logo on the pint glass.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there. I'm eating my Chicago dog with with a side of tots and laughing all the pain, because that's all I can do at this point. I could just laugh at the pain.
That numb feeling.
Well, the beer numbs it too. I mean, at that point,
There
you
it
just
is.
are numb.
Yeah, for real.
So something's got to help. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
All right. No, I gotta keep pushing back. Like I said, I can't. It's not even to that point of the show. Jesus Christ. Okay, Raiders, make it or fake it. I think maybe the consensus is on this, but I'm going with make it. I'm just saying. I think they can. I think they can outrun people. Also, two people keep in mind: Carl Nassib, Max Crosby. Both of them have looked like they've stepped up this year too. Pass rush is getting there better than it has in recent years under John Gruden. It's not Khalil Mack levels, but it's definitely better so far. That's what I'm looking at.
I agree. I think they make it as well.
Folks, what we got?
I think they'll make it only because of their beginning schedule. Then it gets a little tougher. If they can win early on and get enough wins for the playoffs or something, they make it. They slip up a couple of these games, then they're not going to make it. But right now, I'll say they'll make it, just looking at their schedule. But Chucky better not slip up.
The good old front load.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. It's they had two pretty big wins against the Ravens and the Steelers, who we saw as contenders for the AFC North. I think those to me set the resume so far. If they end up pulling a win out against the Chargers, they got Chargers, Broncos, 2 out of the next 3 weeks. Division wins are always good, so I think they make it.
Hey, make it in different varying levels. That's the only sweep of this one. So I don't know if now I'm waiting for the Raiders to disappoint, unless it's against the Bears. They're gonna be formed.
They'll probably disappoint against the Bears. Watch this.
They're gonna be formed.
There's a trap game in there somewhere.
I will find an
The
old
Eagles.
style in a draft if that happens. I will I'll go to Wrigleyville and find it.
You and I'll salute each other when we get that chance. I'll hit you up as soon as that happens. We'll have a good old time.
Just go to Wrigleyville. I'll find it real quick.
Oh, hey, okay. I gotta get a trek back down there. I did Comiskey for the first time this year with these guys, and that was a blast. Now it's been longer since I've been to Wrigley. Got to make my trip back to Wrigley, especially with the renovations too. Since last I was there was 2007, so it's been a while. I was much younger then as well.
The team inside is still bad, but the building's better. The team inside is bad, but
They're horrible now.
I'm picking like the worst. I'm picking like the worst time to go back. Be like, the memories.
No, it's the best time. That means tickets will be cheaper. Parking might be a little bit less. Who knows?
Okay.
You might luck out here.
Well, you ain't wrong. I get you.
We're also baseball.
I understand. It's fine. God, I'm suffering. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, Hawks?
Go Hawks. Yeah, sure. With the moves they've made, fine. Go Hawks. Why not? Really go Bulls. That's where most of my positivity is going.
There it is.
Few weeks. Who am I kidding? Talking about reminiscing on the past, or really just trying to recapture any of the past. So if you haven't heard, the word on the street is that Tom Brady's going back to New England this week. Jesus Christ, if it hasn't been beaten into your head already, then here I am to introduce the proverbial hammer to your skull on that, so that you keep that in mind, because Brady is visiting Belichick in Foxborough. It's going to be on Sunday Night Football. It's going to be at night. It's being led up as this whole thing. We're seeing the stories of the split coming out as of today. Did Belichick talk to him on the phone? Did he meet up with him? Was it a clean split? And Brady's saying it's clean. Belichick saying it's clean. Media pundits saying that they're not, and they're all lying. I don't know who's actually. It sounds like a Hollywood like TMZ moment is what we're getting right now, and I'm just ready for it to be over. Which is why, yes, for this argument, I'm saying this is overhyped. And that it's going to be a beatdown with Tom Brady coming into Foxborough and basically just going to have announcers talking about the relationship of the two, and the Bucs are going to leave, and no one will give a rat's ass at the end of the week because the Patriots will get beaten down. Is how I'll see it. Anyone in here feel like this is not an overhyped thing? Please, I implore you to go right ahead, because I'm saying this is overhyped, or maybe me working in television just forces me to be already soured on the fact that this game's being played.
So I can't believe the words are coming out of my mouth, but I actually agree with Chris Collinsworth from last Sunday night. Him and Al were talking about how it might be a good one to start out, but it's not going to be a great finish. Bucks by 20. I'm going to go to bed early that night.
Mac Jones in for another week of the meme-worthy cringe look. Anyone been seeing that go around, by the way? He looks like a goblin.
No, I have not seen that.
You have not seen that? He looks like a goblin. He's got like shriveled. He's got like his hand shriveled to the side, and like he's like scared.
It's like you spent too much time online, man.
Yeah. Maybe you make that.
When I do enough editing for this show and others, eventually I'm going to wander off to distract myself. I blame NFL memes. That's who I really blame. That page is just notorious for just constant finding everything. So I don't know.
I don't want to talk about NFL memes, all right?
Okay. Oh yeah, because them boys, right?
Yeah.
They
love to post about them. They love to post about them.
Checking on them boys. Although this year it's really been 1 week and everyone's moved on.
They've been real quiet, yeah.
The latest one's been checking on those Fly Eagles Fly members out there. So
Fly Eagles.
I'm saying, Michael, Steve, is either of you? I mean, maybe both of you think this is a must watch. I'm not speaking for you. I'm just being really passionate and saying that this is just getting the media circus because of the names attached to it, not because it's actually going to be a good game or anything.
Yeah, I think I feel a little bit of both, but not as a must watch. Like, I mean, the storyline's cool, whatever, like the return, like the fans and then I don't think that it doesn't seem like New England's going to score even a touchdown in the game. So probably be like 35-3. And like Tony said, early sleeps.
35-3. Good God. I don't even have it that bad of a score. Not even a touchdown.
Bucks by 20.
You aren't like a Mac Jones detractor, are you?
No. I like it. I like the potential of what he's gonna have. I think he's in the system. I just think, watch, he's gonna score a touchdown. You guys are all gonna get in the group chat. See, I told you so.
Well, we would tell you on Twitter, but we can't do that.
Ooh, that's fair.
Yeah, well, Mac Jones is still going to be center of attention either way because he's his next prodigy, next one right in that big draft class. Because Chicago was in that. I dragged it back in. Steve,
I think we
got yourself back in there.
Get over here. You're not done.
Hold him back.
We weren't escaping this point without bringing up Mac Jones and Justin Fields, were we? No, I'm joking.
No.
Oh, don't start me on that.
No, we won't do that. We already have that talking about keeping Fields' hand healthy. So we'll leave that alone. Steve, do you see this as a must watch, or is NBC just driving me and the rest of the world insane with all the promos they're throwing in our faces?
Well, the Patriots are the only team Tom Brady's never beaten, so it has to be much watch, right?
Well, I guess that's fair.
for the first half. And then after that, it's like, well, now we're done. I think it's much watch for the first quarter because it's like Tom Brady's back. Are they going to boo him? Are they going to cheer him? How's Belichick going to coach the defense? Does Mac Jones show up? Then the first quarter, second quarter, you're going to be done. If it's a close game, though, that'll be great. But at some point, Tom Brady's team looks like a Madden team you put together from building up whatever the thing is. So it's much watch for the first half. But I'm just trying to remember the good times with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
Busting out the book.
There's no Bears books up here. I just want you to know. I had to throw them out.
You don't have an 85 book in there anywhere?
I do. I had to put it away though. They can't even look. I don't want them to be a part of this season.
That's fair enough.
I've got an 85. I got a Super Bowl 20 program back here somewhere. I got to find that. So that's hiding out. But I understand. There's not many books in that for those glory days. At least recent glory days, not the 85 team. Good point there, Steve. I'm going to be honest with you that's maybe why I'll tune in, because I'm not expecting much really. Belichick can try and coach it up all he wants, but you can't go. I mean, this is like the Bucs are basically what you imagine like any NBA super team is anymore. It's basically Brady recruits them. You come in, you use your talent to overwhelm the opponent and to go win a ring, unless you're the defense, which was for the most part, I would say, built up pretty much stock from draft picks and good drafting by the folks over there in Tampa Bay. But I mean, offensively, this has been cherry picking pieces for the last 2 years, with the exceptions of Goodwin and Mike Evans. So, it's kind of hard to stop a all out blitz on the offensive side. That is.
Just run engage 8. It works every time. NCAA.
Yep.
Pinch down those linemen too, just to be safe.
They can't block them all.
Fair enough.
Oh, look, a slant works here. There's no one back there to get him. Oh, no.
Do you think Richard Sherman's going to play Sunday?
Ooh, good question. Is he ready to play Sunday? That's I think
like
it's a quick turnaround for him.
At least get some reps in,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
If he does, it's going to be extremely limited.
Do we get a 4-shot camera setup where it's Belichick and then 4 expatriates in terms of Antonio Brown, Tom Brady, and Gronk all in one set during that night's festivities?
Probably.
Even though Brown was there for like just a game.
Yeah, it'd be even funnier if they had it on Monday night with the Manning cast, and you just have Eli and Peyton going in on Tom Brady and Belichick.
Ooh, here's a good one. Over under. How many times does Manning bring up bugging locker rooms or cheating?
A large amount, whatever that amount might be. Over.
Tony's got 6.
7.
7. Wow, I'm way off.
Over 7. It's gonna be at least one time.
Okay. I'll go with that number. I think that's solid. I'm gonna say 5. Give me the one hand.
Oh, you're going under 7. Okay, you're taking the under. Okay.
Yeah,
I think 7's a good number.
So, wait, we're setting 7 as like the baseline to this.
Yeah.
I think 5's more reasonable. Good God.
Yeah.
I mean, my over/under for Eli Manning giving the double birds again would be a 0.5 because I highly doubt.
You don't have to edit that out, but it's fine.
ESPN's probably like, we'll pay for it. It's getting us ratings.
Oh man,
we're desperate. We need this so bad. It's good. It's good. It's good. So much like our make it or fake it, every year you also have the opposite effect. You have the teams that start out slow, teams that, okay, we're 3 games in, we're 1-2. What the hell's going on? Like your Seattle Seahawks as a good example for this season. We'll throw that in there. The Kansas City Chiefs, even better example. because, okay, what the hell's happening? I've given you the task, each of you, to give me a team under a sub 500 right now. Give me one. Tell me why they can turn it around. And you know what? I'll throw it to Michael here. Who you got, Michael? Who is going to turn this around? Is it Atlanta? Tell me it's Atlanta.
It ain't Atlanta. Don't you play that?
I'm thinking confidence poll. I was like, maybe it's there.
No way.
Get that draft pick.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Fix that line. My God, we were there, man. But anyway, I'm gonna go with the division winner that I picked this year, and that would be the Indianapolis Colts.
Ooh.
I know they're
in a rough way right now.
Deep hole, 0-3, but those games were pretty close, and they put on a good performance against the Rams at home, and there's a little bit of shakiness on their defense, I feel like, but maybe it's just the jitters. I don't know. Maybe it's just early season, trying to get used to it because of the shortened preseason. Maybe I'm just making excuses. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The Colts team, I feel like Carson Wentz is kind of coming around a little bit. He's not fully in yet, but I feel like he's coming around. He's making steps. And
double sprained ankles won't help you either.
Not good with those ankles, but I definitely think they should have won that Titans game. I was watching that game, and that was I feel like that definitely could have went either way, and it just didn't go their way. But I definitely think they can turn it around. I really like what Frank Reich does down there, and they've drafted very well, and they just have to stay a little healthy, and they have some matchups down the road that I think they're gonna help them out. They play the Texans twice. They play the Jets, the Jaguars twice. They might even squeak one out against New England. Who knows? But I don't know. I think they can turn it around a little bit, especially for an 0-3 team. Not many of those teams really turn it around. They kind of just regress even worse. But yeah, I think they can turn it around a little bit.
History's not on their side, but hey,
yeah,
you never know. Maybe just maybe all the stuff stacked against them goes their way.
Yeah, I mean, there's
possible.
Right. There's a little bit of things that could go their way, but I definitely, it's up to them. They have their fates in front of them. So definitely, I think they can do it. It's just a matter of putting it together
and get healthy and make sure that Carson Wentz doesn't keep running for his life. How he got to Indianapolis and basically landed in a similar I'm running for my life every game situation. I will not, besides the fact Anthony Costanzo retiring, I'm like, how did you get here and do the same thing? I thought this was fixed when they traded for him.
Right. Exactly. I know that, especially with that line, definitely an upgrade in line. And then it's like, is it you or is it us? Like
maybe
what?
Maybe you're the problem.
Yeah. Although I would really like to see what they could do with Jacob Eason and Sam Ehlinger. Like, I don't know. I know Ehlinger's still really, really young and needs to develop, but Jacob Eason's been in that system for a few years now. Like, I know it wasn't a higher draft pick. I think he was like a second or third round draft pick, but I could be wrong. But I mean,
fifth, but
maybe give him an opportunity or something, see what he can do. But especially give Wentz maybe a week or two to like get healthy or something. I don't know, but we'll see.
Fascinating start with the Colts, though. I originally this segment was going to be which 0-3 team, and then I went, well, if it's mostly going to be Indianapolis repeating itself, copy paste across the board, maybe.
Yeah.
But you don't think the New York Jets will be able to do it?
I don't know. I mean, maybe Zach Wilson, he finds himself and channels the everlasting spirit of Joe Namath. I don't know. maybe
anything can happen.
Mekhi Becton comes back miraculously from injury, and the season's saved.
Yep, just like that.
Thanks to thanks to unrealistic expectations. Anyway, I the Colts would be the only 0-3 I would say as well. Steve, what have you been? What team are you looking at? You're going, okay, I wouldn't expect them to be here by now. This will get turned around. This isn't going to be like this forever.
I was going to go with Seattle with that roster and those coaches. Like, how are you 1-2 right now? I kind of understand losing in overtime to the Titans because they're the Titans, but to lose to the Vikings, like by that much.
Right.
But again, I thought about it. The Vikings always beat somebody they're not supposed to. There's always some point where they're hot or they play really good. Always won. So I think that was it. And you guys will have to correct me because my mind is mush from coaching football. It's a new offense, right? They got a new offensive coordinator in Seattle.
Yes, it is. It's not Schottenheimer anymore. Oh my God, I'm spacing on who it is. Schottenheimer, they parted ways in the offseason with him. Oh, I was going to blow my mind. But yes, you are absolutely right.
But anyway, it's going to take time for that offense to start clicking, I think. So I believe
Shane Waldron.
Have time.
Shane Waldron. Yeah.
So I think with that roster on offense, it's not going to be like that the whole season. Pete Carroll will figure it out. But yeah, 1-2, I did not see. Maybe 2-1 because they play the Titans, and the Titans were supposed to be really good. But to lose to the Vikings is a little concerning. But you have to get that time for that offense to start clicking. So I think they're the ones that can turn it around with that roster. Or I could be wrong. That roster's getting old. I have no idea. Or it's just not going to click. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, back half of last year, it was all about Russell Wilson wasn't cooking as much anymore. And then defensively, they couldn't make enough strides. So my worry was with the Tennessee game, they dropped a 14-point lead and just, their defense became a paper-thin wall, like mid-third quarter onward, and Derrick Henry decided, it's my time to shine. Let me rattle off 60-yarder here. Let me bash one or two defenders there. 182 yards later, and that's all she wrote. We're 1-1 that week. Now 2-1, of course, after beating the Colts. But that being said, that's the part that worries me. But losing the Vikings, that I just didn't see it. Sure, Kirk Cousins can throw for 350 or whatever, and he's got Justin Jefferson and company. But that defense is so young still in Minnesota, and they couldn't capitalize on it. Like, what the hell is always thinking? This is your should have been 2-1, my man. You're falling behind in a very competitive NFC West where everyone is pretty much going to be as dominant as everyone else. You can't fall behind right now.
I think Seattle played down to their opponent because they thought that with Dalvin Cook out that Minnesota was going to falter. And Alexander Madison stepped in, pretty spectacularly for him.
He did.
So I think they got too confident that they were going to win, and then they got kicked right in the teeth.
They probably had flashbacks of the Titan game, like, we couldn't generate any offense or stop anybody. I think it was coming back.
Lingering trauma.
They were too close to Chicago going to Minnesota.
Oh God, no! Every segment.
Here it comes.
Every segment. Because obviously neither of us are going to bring up that they'll make a turnaround. No,
yeah, you
sir.
Notice that wasn't my team. That wasn't the team I said at 1-2 was going to turn it around.
Right. And I definitely wasn't going to bring it up. I'm actually waiting to see if another certain team is brought up here before I make my choice. And I'm going to see if Tony pulls the trigger on it, because I think it's almost like low-hanging fruit. So
I don't know who you're talking about. Because I know who you're talking about. My bad. I'm not going to talk about that. That's not who I am as a person. No, I was going to actually go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In all honesty, they have a lot of the same weapons that they do. I think T.J. Watt being out is a huge hit to that defense. You really realize how impactful he can be when he's not in there. So I think they can turn it around. Depending on how they decide to play. I mean, they had two tough games. They beat the Bills, which is huge, lost to the Raiders, and then got snuck up by the Bengals. Doesn't get much easier with the Packers, Broncos, Seattle, and the Browns, but crazier things have happened. I've I've seen weirder things happen in the NFL. So, maybe they surprise it and they steal one and get revenge on the Packers.
Oh my God. By the way, folks, this is going to look great on YouTube. Just some of the camera glitches are killing me right now. Tony,
Zoom is great.
Zoom is excellent. It makes such great moments. And he's stuck again. That's okay. He made his points. He glitched his hand moving a beer. It looked funny. We're having some good laughs. He's back.
He didn't take the low-hanging fruit, by the way.
He did not take the low-hanging fruit. That's what we're taking it out of there.
It's not who I am as a person.
He has standards, ladies and gentlemen.
I have standards. Sometimes they're low, but they're not that low.
Oh, goodness.
Fine. You challenge me. I'm also going to be better than that. I will not. I refuse to bring up that team from not Kansas, and I will go and I'm going to talk about Miami because I think Miami could possibly. I saw signs with Jacoby Brissett with a week, giving him a week of practice, not just throwing him in all willy-nilly mid-game, to where, hey, there's a competent unit here. Brian Flores still is a really good head coach that gets his guys ready to play. They fought back and were one good drive away from beating Las Vegas. So they could be easily 2-1 right now. I think this is still a pretty well-built roster. It's just that, starting QB wise is out. Although some people, you might even wonder, is it really a good starting QB with Tua? So who knows? I mean, I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett's better than Tua. Jacoby is maybe, I don't know, floor for Tua is what, ceiling could be for Jacoby is, I guess how I'll put it. But, still mobile QB and someone you can win some games with, as shown in Indianapolis. I think they can turn some things around. I think that they have the roster to do so. Indianapolis is this week, by the way, so that is a start. So there's a game lingering on already who can maybe try and swing some things in their favor and needs to push their season in the right direction. So yeah, I didn't go for the low hanging fruit either. I hope that says something about me too. You know what? None of us talked about Kansas City except by me just mentioning their name. We're going to leave it at that. You know what? They can figure it out themselves. They don't need an analyst bringing themselves up in this show. We're just going to let that one die. It's going on the side of the street. It can find its way home. I don't need to bring it back in by itself. It knows how to do everything it needs to. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Okay, now we can complain about the Bears like we've been hinting at the entire show. Well, kind of, I guess. This was more of a news piece that affects Chicago, but it follows along the trends of what the NFL is going with right now. Stadiums, big, massive complexes to basically become campuses and gems in your local market. We've seen it with Las Vegas and LA. Last year, they opened up, credit they didn't have fans, but this year we've seen the full majesty of having fans in the stands in there, what those facilities look like and how they are as, just kind of diamonds for what the NFL is looking to build and kind of make their entertainment experience during games become. And it's a mega complex. Chicago has been making news as of late. Why? Because they want to get the hell out of Soldier Field. Okay, fair. I understand. I hear enough bitching from my dad about the traffic and all such things as hell trying to get there off of Lakeshore Drive. He actually is, I'm not joking, and he will comment with me on this. He has said he refuses to go to another Bears game until they move out of Soldier Field because of how much hell it is to get there. And I bring this up, and this subject kind of hits more close because all three of us have either lived in that area and have gone to Chicago, or are currently living there, or living just outside of there. Michael lives in the region. We all know what that area is like in some way. We've been around there. It's kind of a mess for game days. I get it. And Arlington Heights is closing, and they bought the land. They own that. They can leave. They can build something. They have to raise $2 million, but the Bears might be the next big team to build like a Jerry's World, a Kroenke, a Kroenke Land. I didn't really get a good name for that, really. You can put the Davis Dome or the Roomba. They can build something like that. Next opportunity's up.
I call it the Roomba, just for the record, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I do too. I'm the same way. I call it the Roomba. It's a Roomba. It's a big Roomba.
There's no question.
It's trying to clean up the desert. It's an endless and really menial task because you can't clean up the desert enough. There's dirt everywhere.
I think another thing when I thought about that is with the Bears, like if they're going to get a new stadium, do they go the route of making it a dome, retractable roof, open, or what? Like,
well, that's the big conversation right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm mixed bag on how I feel about that. You know, I actually come off as more of a traditionalist in terms of this argument. Because, you know, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, because of how I've looked at it, you've got the don't leave downtown and stay on the lakefront. This is where they're meant to play. Or go with the modernization of the NFL and build something that is a proud NFL symbol for a original franchise.
Yeah, we've had this conversation there's a lot of reasons why they want to leave Soldier Field. And we can get political with it because of who was the mayor there. That's one of the reasons why they want to leave. Second reason, it's old. They have to jump through hoops to add anything to it. Yep. But the dome thing was the first thing brought up. The Bears have an advantage when it's cold weather. Like when people come there, that's an advantage they've had. But then a football coach brought this up to me. He goes, imagine if they built a dome and they could host college basketball tournaments there to make more money. Like all of this stuff. So now it's, do you build a retractable dome, and during football it's always open, but then people are going to kind of complain and say, well, you can just close it, you know, kind of like in Minnesota or for the Seahawks. Then there's going to be then there's conversations that are going around here about, like in New England, they have a train that goes and travels into the stadium and drops them off in New England. Are they going to build that from the city of Chicago and people get off the Amtrak or whatever? Can they just go straight to Arlington? There's talks they're going to build a casino right down the street from it that has to deal with all this. Hotels, like they just have this big vision of what it could be. And because they're like people gone to Soldier Field this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, they're not going to go back. The stuff they've done, you can't walk all the way around it, and then this and that. And so they have this huge vision of what they want to do. And the retractable dome thing, I'm iffy, but as soon as they brought up how they can make more money with basketball, it's like, why don't you do that then? You're going to make so much more money. Now, traditionally, they got to play by the lake. But when you see all these other stuff being built and this cool stuff, and it'd be easier parking, it's easier for people to get to than driving into the city. Like just big things they are being discussed. And I'm all for it at the end of the day. Like, send them that way. It's only 30 minutes north of me. Send them up there, and I don't have to drive into the city.
I get that point. And, Arlington Heights can foot the bill in terms of at least funds as well. I know we don't bring this much up on the show with like stuff like that, but like Chicago, for how tax heavy they are already. I mean, they haven't even paid off Soldier Field renovations from 2002. So you'd be adding on debt to already what is debt for a stadium that you already are waiting to finish paying off anyway. So it would be kind of ugly. And also, I've never been to Arlington Heights, I'm going to be honest. I've never been to the racetrack, but it's a massive campus. And you know what other NFL stadium was built on a former racetrack? The Rams' new SoFi Stadium. That's a former racing venue that was famous in the area in Inglewood. And that's what they repurposed into what is, Kroenke's little mega world of wonder in LA. So it's kind of like it's almost a blueprint sans the overbloated budget, you hope, to build a stadium on the same ground, on a similar ground setup and all that, and what and the other thing with the Magic, like terms of revenue pieces, the magic bullet phrase that's coming up lately, Super Bowl. Chicago hasn't been able to host one. Okay, the Jets and Giants and Meadowlands got lucky, but Chicago was never going to get one. So you bring up retractable roof, and then that instantly goes to, they can close it. Oh, we can bring that game here, which has never been played in Chicago, even though Chicago is, one of, if not the most historical team in the NFL besides their rival. So, would be nice to be able to say you can play there now and play off that too.
Right.
get those crowds from the city.
Yeah. That's what they did with Atlanta too. They were told, well, the Georgia Dome, they hosted a few Super Bowls, but they were told by the NFL they weren't gonna host another Super Bowl till they got a new stadium. And that brings so much money to the city, and that people don't realize. And I don't know, maybe it is a good idea that they get a new stadium. I don't know, but like there's an aspect of like the history of Soldier Field. Like, yeah, you're not going to take away from that, but like the vision for the future is so potentially bright that it could just mask away that history, which I don't know. It's so tough. It's so tough to like move on from that, because Bears fans and just NFL fans just love the history, the Lambeau and Soldier Field, and just, I mean, those are just two off the top of my head, but like people live for that stuff, and they would hate to see it go. But then I also thought of something else with Soldier Field. Like, they can't really get rid of it because it's right by the major road there. So it's like, do they keep it and host concerts and like have football or college football games there, or what? Like,
that's where you're entering stadium hell when you have a team leave something like that. Now, credit MLS, the Fire, they moved back, so there's an argument, but the Fire don't draw crowds like the Bears do. They'll get you like maybe like what 10 to 20,000 a game, maybe if you're lucky 30 if you're pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
But that still will look, you'll undersell the stadium every time that way.
Right. Yep. It definitely is come around to, it is all about the money every year, and it wants to make more every year. It's a mega billion-dollar industry, and they just want more, and they want more, and they'll do anything to get more. So.
Well, and to point it from a business perspective, the Bears don't own Soldier Field.
Yes,
the city owns Soldier Field.
Right.
So any renovations they would want to do, anything that they would, any type of museum or little thing that they would want to put even near it, in it, whatever, has to go through the city first. And so I think moving to Arlington gives them that freedom of, now we can own our own stadium. Now we can do with it what we want, as opposed to having to wait, decades to get something renovated in there. Because the historical sites are nice, and there's a lot of history behind them, and I love history. But when you want to, sometimes you need to renovate, and if you can't renovate in a proper amount of time, then you're kind of just sitting there waiting. So I think it hurts people in the long run when you have to wait on somebody else to renovate your seats. Like, you have to wait for approval from the city for that. It's insane. It's not that far in the burbs of Chicago. I mean, it's 29 miles from where the current Soldier Field's at, give or take a block or two.
Mm-hmm.
I think it opens up a lot of business opportunities for the Bears, because then if they're able to host national championship games, or they're able to host anything else inside their stadium, it's gonna make them money as opposed to making the city a bunch of money.
Yeah,
totally.
That's about right. It's just an awkward spot where it is right now, and there's enough movement, and also the fact the ownership alone, you could say they'll go out there too, and who knows? And I think for the franchise right now, I know we've riffed on them through the show, but like, it still is at such a, like, fans have been in a misery sort of state for so long. Like, a new stadium almost, it kind of gives a new energy for at least a season or two, where you're like, this is a pretty nice facility. I'm kind of proud of the organization I'm in. I mean, not saying that, I mean, the Rams, for crying out loud, they played in the LA Coliseum while they were getting theirs built up, but still, the fact that you have that, I mean, it's something that you're like, well, maybe you play a little more pride getting a new shiny place to play. Soldier Field's kind of this, I mean, we call it the spaceship, for crying out loud, for a reason. There's
Right.
I mean, it looks like a spaceship landed on top of the colonnades, and that's where we're at right now.
Ours looks a blade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the Oculus with Atlanta, though. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I've loved the design for that too.
Yeah, it's
I think another piece that comes into this argument with like traditional side as we wrap up this conversation, NFL, like the whole distinguishing, you have the college. I think almost the traditional traditionalist nature of keeping Soldier Field in the lake, like how I've kind of want it. It kind of comes from like how you look at like say college football, where those stadiums, most of them they hearken towards like a diehard fan's perspective of, traditional what football is. It's about the experience going there. It's less about the executive suites, the fancy shiny toys that you get with the stadium as well. Okay, there's upgrades that come along from from school and public funding, but it's always about the fan and ticket sale first and the executive sale second for the most part. Whereas the NFL, the corporate dollars evolved to be more of the impactful higher up piece that makes or breaks teams' sales and revenues. And that's what leads to the bigger shiny stadiums. I mean, Buffalo's going through the same thing right now. Theirs is more imminent. They're about ready to break that lease within a year. And that's one of the last stadiums where I'm like, that feels like old school back in the day where I want to watch a football game, like 70s, 80s, look, what I like the similar thing where I look at like old stuff, like old images and videos of Soldier Field before they put on the renovations, where I'm like, I wish I could have gone there before that. And that would have been cool. So like that type of vibe is dying and is going to be gone in the next 2 decades in the NFL. The last remnants really are in Buffalo, barely in Soldier Field right now. And Lambeau will probably be the only one that never gets rid of that.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme.
Yeah.
No games will never be a thing anymore. It seems like probably New York, New England.
Yeah.
Probably about it. Yeah. Philadelphia, maybe. But
at some point.
It's definitely interesting to see, though.
Yeah. It'll change. Yeah. Chicago's will be a little way off, though, before they do renovations. It's just it's kind of crazy to talk about, I guess. Soldier Field's been so long. 1971, first year they played there. It's been that long they've been able to keep it going. So I think you just see that pull the heartstrings a little bit too, is all.
Yeah, I get it, man. I'm a diehard Indians fan. They've been in what we still call the Jake since 1994. It's one of those things where, that's the current place. They used to play at the Coliseum and whatnot. So I think it's, it's tough. It's very much you got to tiptoe the line. But I think with, having been in professional sports, it's one of the things you really look at of, the fans there. You will always have the traditional fans like you get, like us. We're always going to end up probably going to a game. We're always going to follow our team. There's nothing that's really going to send us away. They get a new fancy stadium. Cool. As long as the product on the field is great. But the newer fan is more oriented of what else can I do while watching a game? And so they have to take that into effect, as well as, in COVID really actually showed it. 2020 seasons for across the board for professional sports, the thing that saved all of these from going too much in the red was the corporate partnerships and the executive suites and all that. So I think, businesses are realizing that, teams are realizing that, season tickets will always be the number one driver in any professional sport. But they also then realize this year that they have to, make sure they're diversified so they don't go under.
Fair point. Very fair point. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to talk with all of you. Glad to have you on. And Coach Steve, thank you for joining us. I've been really having, at least myself, Tony and Michael here, we've loved getting to talk with different guys from Belly Up, from our own podcast network too, that we're with, and getting some more people on the show from there. And especially for yourself being with us from Unhinged coming over with us too. It's good to get a chance to finally talk. I know we've been on the side, you and I have been talking on when we get to talk conversation on football at least. And glad we finally got around to getting this organized for once.
Yeah, because I don't have a life. Like I said, it's
right.
I go to the school at 7:30 in the morning. I don't get home until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night from work and coaching football, watching film, doing whatever I do, and then doing this. There's times where, oh yeah, there's a podcast stuff I have to do like on top of it. But I made it work. No, I appreciate it because, like I said, my mind is mush because I'm still a Bears fan. I wake up every day, and why am I a Bears fan? That's
I asked myself the longest time about being a Cowboys fan, so I'm with you.
I'm still living it.
It's just a force of habit anymore. I got routine. Keeping the routine. In some way, I'm glad to be back. Not really, though. Normalcy. Coach, where can we find you on social here? And what's coming up on the show for you, at least in the near future?
YouTube is the Coach Steve Show. I made a Twitter for it, but like I said, I've been so busy. My main Twitter is just at Coach_Steve72. That's just where I post everything.
Gotcha.
It's hard to manage 2 Twitters for me. Like my brain doesn't work that way.
I relate to that a lot. Not gonna lie, that's very relatable.
Because I'll post it to one, and then like I don't know, an hour later, oh, I probably should have posted to the other one, but I don't feel like it now. Like now it's not. Now I don't feel like going back and typing it all back in.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's about it. The show, I have a few more episodes built up. I recorded a ton during the summer. One of the ones I'm excited about, I've talked to twice, is the Ohio University O-line coach, Coach Alan Rudolph.
Ooh.
I asked him to be on my podcast. After the podcast, we exchanged numbers. So I've been texting him football stuff throughout the season. He came on again. And I have a grad assistant from Eastern Michigan. He's the O-line coach there at Eastern Michigan, which is pretty cool. Like I said, every Sunday, me and my 2 friends that grew up together in Central Illinois try to do a live show every Sunday on YouTube. It's just an Illinois sadness. It's just us coming on and complaining about Illinois, or we complain about, this is a whole nother topic. Me and my friend, why did we draft Justin Fields? We're not Justin Fields people. I'm not one of the Justin Fields bandwagon people.
Interesting.
So we
this is very interesting relating to the show. Tony is the hype man. He's supposed to be my hype man. And now he gets a show where he has to convince 2 people.
Listen, the reason Justin Fields is doing poorly is because Matt Nagy is a horrible coach. It was shown last year that they were the worst 5-0 team. So Matt Nagy should have been fired at the end of last season. They should have restarted, let Justin Fields sit a little bit longer. They threw him in against the Browns, which is an insane task. No, the management needs to be gutted there. I'm sorry. I'm still in the Justin Fields can break this curse, but I can't with this, with Matt Nagy at the helm. No, absolutely not.
This has to be another podcast. You'll have to start one. I'll come on. I agree with everything he said, but I like to say why they should have drafted him. But I agree with everything he said. But yeah, so we do that every Sunday, and then I'm trying to make time for me to go on myself and just talk or NFL. That's all you're going to see on there is me complaining or giving whatever, like kind of like them talking about Lane Kiffin saying he's a clown. Like I have a hot take for that. If I can find time to record that type of stuff, you'll find, but
okay.
That's all you'll see. Yeah, that's about it. And when football's over, I'll get hop on and get coaches back all over the country talking to me. They've already said they come back, and so that's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Hey, getting some action in there. Tony and I went to Ball State together there, chirp. So mad respect there, get some coaches from those universities in. Not bad, man. Not bad.
Making connections. It's just knowing coaches that say, hey, go talk to this guy. And send him a message on Twitter. You send him a message and he responds. He goes, yeah, I'll be on. Like, oh, here's my phone number. Start texting me. Like, ask me questions. Like, it's crazy. You just send them a message and they'll hop on. They don't care. As long as it fits within their time. Like, don't do it right now. They're busy, so I stay away. But around November, I can start doing it again.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
cool.
Well, yeah, we'll have to check those. We'll have to check those out, man. I think that's pretty cool. I would definitely. Since you're a coach right full time as well, so definitely great to see you getting some connections to those too. And it's different perspective. I think for your show, that's what's very unique. You got, it's various levels of the game. You get to talk about as well. There's so many. I know we're talking NFL right now, but there's so many NFL shows out there. It's nice to see something where it's a different level hit that spot sometimes too. Where it's maybe out of the ordinary, not say like Power 5 schools or like, it's nice to hear like a high school level too, good perspective.
I like to call myself Sports Joe Rogan. I've self-acclaimed that title.
Wow.
All right.
You're gonna put that as your tagline on your logo soon?
He might he might sue me, so I'm going to stay away from that if I do that.
All right. Kind of suffering in Illinois. You don't want to add on to what you've got.
Don't add to the suffering of living in Illinois, number one, and then rooting for the teams, number two.
Oh, goodness.
Well, thank you very much for joining this show, guys. Tony, Mike, as always, glad to have you on for our biweekly shows here talking NFL. And folks, thanks for listening in or watching on YouTube as well. Again, this is a video podcast too. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go over to YouTube, look up Gridiron Gallery, hit that subscribe button, that bell notification, like the videos, comment, do all the stuff that the video guys tell you to do on YouTube that annoys the hell out of me, but I'm going to do it because I have to make this viable as a show. Also go over to your favorite podcast platforms, follow or subscribe on there as well if you already are listening to the show every week. And if you are listening to it every week, why the hell haven't you hit that button? I mean, come on, just get it over with. Hit like 2 screens and bam, you're there. Tony's saying, like, just join the party. Like, why?
5 seconds. 5 seconds.
Don't be the guy that comes to a BYOB and doesn't bring the beer.
Doesn't BYOB.
No, don't be cool. Hit that subscription and follow button. You're bringing stuff to the party as well. Until next time, guys, we'll have another show in 2 weeks with another guest from Belly Up Run Inch Radio. Thanks for listening. As always, stay tuned on our socials at Grid Gallery Pod, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. And catch you next time. The Gridiron Gallery Podcast. New episodes every Friday on your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, and premiering first, as always, at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, only on unhingedsn.com.